Good evening, YouTube, BookTube. This is Johnny. I thought I'd make a video. It is December the 2nd, 2019. It is going on 6:30 in the evening here in West Michigan. I thought I'd do a Monday Reads as the first Monday of December of 2019. I'm not going to really do a big video tonight because I got time tomorrow. My wife is off for a week and she has a class tomorrow at the hospital and she's going to be gone in the afternoon, and so I might I have some used books that I've recently acquired from a thrift store and from the Book Nook. But as far as my diary, I ended on page 992. So I should hit 1,000 pages this week for the year 2019 in my 2019 diary. I'm drinking a glass of wine to celebrate, celebrate just being alive. So tomorrow is December the 3rd, 2019. I have my diary already. Tonight is a Monday, so we're going to watch football at 8 o'clock. It's supposed to be the Minnesota Vikings and the Seattle Seahawks. Two good quarterbacks. Well, I don't know. But basically what I want to focus on is I received a 2-volume set today. When I came home from the Book Nook, I knew I had gotten the email that these were being shipped for me from Reformed Heritage Books in Grand Rapids, Michigan, which is just straight east of us, about 25 miles. And that's Puritan Reformed Theological Seminary, which publishes William Perkins' works. They're reprinting them. They were first published. This reprint came out in... Well, William Perkins lived from 1558 and he died in 1602. He was an English divine, an English minister of the gospel, theologian, Christian. So I got in the mail this week, I got their catalog, Reformation Heritage Books, their catalog, and they are going to finish publishing next year the works of William Perkins. And this is volume 7, and they're going to publish this month volume 8, and then by the end of the year 2020 volumes 9 and 10 will be published. And so then we'll have the works of William Perkins to read as we wait for the end of the world. This volume 7 is on the works of William Perkins, is the Reformed Catholic. Basically what he does in this volume, William Perkins looks at the Reformed faith and how it's different from the Roman Catholicism. And also he has a treatise called Warning Against Idolatry at the end of this. Warning Against Idolatry of the Last Times. And I think this is on, let me see here. A Warning Against Idolatry of the Last Times and Instruction Touching Religious or Divine Worship. Printed by John Liggett in 1626. So yeah, it's on the text in 1 John 5:21. Babes, keep yourselves from idols. So I haven't looked at that. Reason why I got this out the other morning, because as you know, St. John of the Cross was a Roman Catholic. He was of the Catholic faith, and of course the Catholic faith and the Reformed faith are in conflict. That's why you have the Reformation was reforming the church from the corrupted practices and teachings of the Romanish church. But now, I'm not saying there not been Christians in the Roman Catholic Church. I mean, only God can judge the human heart. But when it comes to reformers, John Calvin, the Reformation, they were looking at the church of that time and saying it had deviated from the Bible and the teachings of the Bible and the sacraments, salvation, worship, etc. And it continued on into the time of the English Puritans in the 15th, 16th, 17th century. But that's here or there. To me, I don't understand why there are so many different spiritualities, different theologies, different views of worship, different views. I just have to be faithful to what I know the Bible to teach and stand by that. And but it's good to read William Perkins, and it's good to read, like I said, it's good to read the collected works of St. John of the Cross. But what you always do is that you judge everything by Scripture. You got a Bible here. By the Bible, the Holy Bible. This is my little sword that I carry around in my saddlebag. This is I found this. This is a New King James version of the Holy Bible. But anyway, so I found out in reading the catalog, Reformation Heritage Books is going to finish publishing the works of William Perkins, which I've been looking. I mean, I heard about William Perkins back in 1977, 76, and I was so excited when I heard that Reformation Heritage Books was reprinting the works of William Perkins, because, as you know, he's as I've said, he's the father of English Puritanism. But also in the catalog, I noticed they were going to publish the it says here they're going to reprint let me find it here. The commentary on Ephesians by Robert Rollock, who lived from 1555 into 1568, 61, 1598 to 1555 to 1598. And see right there, they're going. And so I went to their website to see, if I could pre-order it. Well, I didn't know this, but Reformation Heritage Books published in 2008 the selected works of Robert Rollock in 2 volumes. This is a set that was first published in the 19th century. It was first published in 1844 and 1849 in Edinburgh by the Wiltro Society. And I didn't know that I had if I had seen these, I'd forgotten about that they had reprinted these selected works of Robert Rollock. Now, Robert Rollock was, as it says back here, quoting Joel R. Beakey, who is the minister there in Grand Rapids and also the president and teaches systematic and historical theology at the Puritan Reformed Theological Seminary. It says here in the back, Joel R. Beakey says, the long overdue republication of Robert Rollock's selected works and introduces us to one of the greatest Reformed thinkers of the 16th century. Robert Rollock, 1555 to 1598, first principal of Edinburgh University, able preacher and philosopher, and a renowned biblical commentator in his own day, was a seminal Reformed theologian, particularly as an early exponent of covenant theology in Scotland. His treatise on God's effectual calling and the passion and resurrection ascension of Christ are themselves worth the purchase of these 2 volumes. Selected works. These volumes represent the cream of 16th century Reformed theology and should be treasured by all who love biblical truth. May they whet the appetite for more of the prolific Scotsman who wrote 5 volumes of sermons and 9 commentaries. So yeah, they're going to reprint his commentary on Ephesians, which I'm very excited about. I did notice when I was looking at the Reformation commentary in Scripture, Galatians and Ephesians, that they have quoted Rollock, and they're on the parts of, he's quoted in the commentary on Ephesians. And I had forgotten, it says back here about, they have a little bio about the people they quote. It says here, Robert Rollock, 1555, has a question mark. 1599, Scottish clergyperson, educator, and theologian. Rollock was an educator and theologian deeply influenced by Peter Rampmas' system of logic, which he implemented as a tutor and later principal of Edinburgh University in his expositions of the Bible. Rollock, as a divinity professor and theologian, was instrumental in diffusing Federalist Calvinism in the Scottish Church. He lectured on theology using the text of Theodore Beza. Theodore Beza was the successor of John Calvin, and articulated a highly covenantal interpretation of the biblical narratives. Rollock argued that the entirety of God's relations to humanity is conducted through a covenantal structure of works or grace. He was a prolific writer of sermons, expositions, commentaries, lectures, and occasional treatises. So when you look at the selected works, the first volume is his treatise on effectual calling. And then you have sermons in the back, a series of sermons on different topics. Like, there is a sermons, like, let me see here. Yeah, a treatise on effectual calling. And then he has sermons on different texts of the New Testament. And then you in volume 2 of the selected works, you have his lectures on the Passion of Christ. And then you have of the burial of Christ, the resurrection of Christ, and then I think the ascension of Christ. So these are good sermons, really. Well, they're called lectures to read around this time. The Advent season, when we think about the birth of the Messiah, the Son of God, who was born to save his people from their sins, to read about his passion, read about his resurrection, read about his ascension into heaven after he died on the cross for the sins of sinners. So yeah, so I was kind of excited. So I got these today. The selected works of Robert Rollock, volumes 1 and 2. So I got those today in the mail. If you want to read about Rollock, read the Dictionary of Scottish Church History and Theology. It's a good reference to have. There's also an article. This is a good book on covenant theology. John Murray's Meredith Kline, Response to Historical Development of Federal Theology and Reform Thought by Jeong University Press. It's a good book. I mean, I studied covenant theology, Reformed classical covenant theology for almost 30 years. And I have a vast library in covenant theology. But this is a good overview. There's a little summation in here on the teachings of Robert Rollock, 1555 to 1599 here on page 33, a summation of his teachings on covenant theology. Also, this is a book on biblical interpretation, past, present, and there's by Gerald Bray. There's a little thing here about Robert Rollock, 1555 to 99, First Principle of Edinburgh University, 1585. Popular preacher in Scotland. He was one of the main dissimulators of covenant theology in that country. He wrote a number of Latin commentaries, of some of which were published only after his death. They include Ephesians 1590, Daniel 1591, Romans 1594, 1st and 2nd Thessalonians 1598, English translation in 1606, John 1599, the Gospel of John, Psalms 1599, English translation 1600, Colossians 1603, and Hebrews in 1605. I like to have all of his works, but a lot of them have not been translated. His commentaries have not been translated out of Latin into English. They remain gathering dust in old university libraries in England. So I was kind of excited to read that somebody has translated his commentary on Ephesians, Robert Rollock, and that they're going to also be finishing the collected works of William Perkins. So that's my Monday reads. Tonight I'm going to watch Monday Night Football. I have been reading things which I'll mention in next videos, but I just wanted to show you the selected works of Robert Rollock, classical, reformed, Scottish theology. Can't go wrong reading these. Can't go wrong reading Reformation commentaries. I looked at this one. This one's on Galatians and Ephesians, and I read 245 pages. I started on Ephesians 1, 3 through 6. I'm still reading the new one in the mornings for devotions on 1st and 2nd Thessalonians, Timothy. I don't know, maybe it's quoted, maybe Rollock is quoted in here. Let me see if he's in here in this one. Yeah, he's quoted too in this one. Here's on 1st and 2nd Thessalonians. So I hope you're having a good Monday. I hope you have a good new week. Hope you had a good weekend. Thank you for the subscribers. And before I close, read William Perkins, read St. John of the Cross, read Robert Rollock, and pray and read the Bible and just keep trucking on. So until next time, bye.